not gone on any of the rides, which is I've taken my kids to Disney more times than I can count. So let's start with this. I was telling Joy this the other day. NBA travel's hard. I mean, especially in Toronto. It's turbulence. It's cold weather. You get out the van at 2 in the morning. You get to the hotel. A lot of guys struggle to sleep. There's none of that. The intensity, the quality of play. Nick, I'm blown away by it. Are you surprised at the quality overall of the play?
Well, I think I had an idea that maybe without the travel and a lot less distractions. I mean, I'll give you an example. I just go to practice. I don't even have to get in traffic in Toronto for 20 minutes and go to practice. I walk down 5 minutes and I'm in the practice gym's in my hotel here. It's like the amount of wear and tear you're saving on everything you're doing is good. I think I'm a little surprised it's maybe kicked in this early. I was thinking it'd maybe be till the playoffs, but man, you're exactly right. The games are great. It's been really fun to watch and be a part of.
So you have the advantage. Your young players, Pascal Siakam, Van Vliet, are very mature players. You also have a smart veteran roster. And I would make the argument that you got the perfect bubble team. You don't have the anxiety of the young kid. You know, I look at you and I think what explains Kawhi leaving and you succeeding is you may have the most mature team in the league. How does that affect the way you coach them?
Well, I think there's some really special guys there, Colin. Really is. You know, like Kyle Lowry doesn't get nearly enough credit for how good he is, like defensively, and how smart he is. Fred VanVleet plays way beyond his years. Gasol is as good as there is at that position, in my opinion. Siakam's an emerging star. Anunoby's an emerging young player. And when Ibaka gets blocking shots and making shots too, he becomes a special guy on the floor. And heck, I haven't even mentioned Norman Powell and our rookie Terrence Davis. You know, there's some special guys there.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You guys have given LeBron James a total handful. And LeBron says, he goes, you media guys don't get it. Everybody in the league gets Toronto. So he averages like 20 a game against you guys. Now, there is no such thing as a LeBron stopper, but you make life more difficult for him. What is there any little page that you're like, listen, try to do this against LeBron because whatever you're doing is working?
Well, I would say this. He's certainly, as you know, he's as hard to prepare for as anybody. I mean, he has really seen it all. He knows how to read. And I always say he not only makes the right decision all the time, he throws those fastballs at about 110 miles an hour right to the shooting pocket. So it doesn't give you much chance to recover to a lot of that stuff. So I don't know if we've done all that great on coming up with schemes to stop him because he can beat most schemes.
Yeah. You guys put a body on him a lot. That's one of the things you do. I watched the other night, you had 10 passes before you scored a basket. And listen, these are the world's best basketball players. How do you convince guys to not just make the extra pass, to make 10? There's a buy-in with your roster that is not common throughout all rosters.
Yeah, I think I remember that possession you're talking about. That's a fun one that certainly makes the highlights, you know, in the edit the next morning. I also say this, I think the Lakers came to play. I think it was a fairly intense game. And when there's a little pressure like that in the game, your guys understand they got to make the right play and they got to pass the ball if they want to play well and have a chance to beat a good team like that. So that helps too. But I don't know. It's just the way we like to play. We like to attack you, and if you draw more than one or two people, you got to try to make the next right play, and then just keep doing that until you find a good shot.
So you've won despite a loss of Kawhi. What concerned you coming into the season? What did Kawhi do, Nick, that you thought, okay, we can't replace that?
Well, he certainly, like you said at the start, he can do it at both ends. He can make a game-winning defensive play just as easily as he can clear out a side and get you that must-have bucket down the stretch too, right? I think that's the big hole to fill. And, you know, it kind of got shifted to Pascal. he's handled it pretty well, and he seems to keep rising to the occasion. I mean, he's going to have to go through it in the playoffs a little bit. But the biggest thing, I think, Colin, is guys like Van Fleet and Powell and Siakam came back. I always say came back to campus this year, just different guys. They just seem like going through that whole playoff run, they just matured a lot. They got 2 months of high-intensity basketball in which they succeeded. They all had big games, and they just came back with a little bit more sense of who they were.
You know, it's really a remarkable story. So I was I was shocked you won the title. I'll be the first to say it. Joy was all into the Raptors last year. I'm like, I don't see it. I think who's the second guy? Yes, Joy was.
Way to go, Joy.
Yes.
Way to go, Joy.
When you won the title and you're on the flight back, was there a moment that you even said, the Toronto Raptors are NBA champs? We are NBA champs. Was there a moment, an epiphany for you that you were like, this is a dream sequence?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. You know, I mean, the flight, we actually were, we were in the Bay and we actually flew to Vegas. So that was a little short. It was a little short, but the next day we went back to Toronto. Yeah, I mean, you're sitting there and everybody's, the trophies in the plane, and the total relief of just going through that whole 100+ games is over, and you just kind of revel in kind of getting the job done. You wake up every day dreaming about getting there, and you get there. It's really something.
So Milwaukee has not been an easy matchup at times for you. Milwaukee gives Boston trouble. And then yet the other night I watched, I think it was Houston, small ball gave Milwaukee some issues late in the game. They struggled with some matchups. So when you face somebody like Giannis, are you of the theory he's going to get his, let him go? Now, last year, you really made it difficult on him. When you face a player as great, as long, as athletic as Giannis, what do you sell your team on? What if he drops 40? What do you sell your team on?
Well, really good question. I got a little testy with the media last year in games 1 and 2 because I kept saying we're gonna pack the paint and make him kick it out, and we're gonna get out to the other guys. I was getting greedy. I wanted to stop both things. I wanted to stop him and make life hard for him, and I wanted to get out and contest those threes. And I really think that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to do both. We're not going to say, okay, give him his 60 and hold the other guys down, or vice versa. We want to try to guard each possession that presents itself as hard as we can.
Pat Riley used to always say, Nick Nurse, Raptors head coach, Pat Riley used to always say, in the NBA, you wear guys out. You got about 10 years to coach in a place, then they're tired of listening to you. They just tune you out. How do you keep fresh? Now you live with a guy. You're in a bubble next to him. They're so tired of Nick Nurse. How do you keep fresh day after day with messaging?
I try not to say much. To be honest with you, I really do. I try not to say much. I let my assistants prepare a lot of the game plans and do a lot of the presentations. I only step in when I need to. When we get a little deeper into the playoffs, et cetera, I think my voice is certainly a finite resource, and I try to work it that way as best I can.
Well, mine is too, although nobody's ever convinced me of it, Nick. It is great to have you here.
It served you well.
Well, everybody speaks highly of you. Good luck to the Raptors going forward. I think the NBA's done an unbelievable job with this bubble, and thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Thanks. Always admire you and appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right, Nick Nurse. Good stuff. Yeah, it's you liked them. I was shocked last year. I was just like,
well,
what
I like them because they are this every year. They're extremely